Right, about lists. List literals are denoted by brackets. So this should be 1, 2, 3. I think we've seen this before. Okay, length gives the length of a list. So since we have a list of 1, 2, 3, this should return the number 3. Okay. Is empty determines if a list is empty or not. So we have an empty list here, so this should return true. Okay, reverse is a list, so it should be 3, 2, 1. Okay, member tests if a list includes a value, so it takes 2 arguments, the thing that we are looking for, and then collection. So this should return true since the number 2 is in the list indeed. So yep, head returns the first item in a list. I'll notice that this function head returns a maybe a, so because sometimes you can get an empty list, in which case you'll return nothing. So the head here will be just 1. Yep. Okay, minimum returns the minimum of a list of comparables. So minimum of 1, 2, 3 should be just 1. That's right. Maximum, the same thing but on characters now. That's right. Yep. Okay, so now take returns the first n items in a list. So we are basically taking the first 2 items in this list. So this should leave us with 1, 2. Correct. So drop returns the list without the first n items. So kind of the opposite of the take function. So we are dropping 1 and 2. That leaves us with 3. Okay, filter returns the element that return true for a predicate function. So it's the usual filter function. We have a predicate here, which is just a lambda function, and we are taking this argument and doing modulus on it, and if it's equal to 0, so basically if the number is even, this predicate will be true. So it basically filters for the even numbers, which will leave us with 2 and 4. Okay, now all test whether all elements of a list return true for a predicate function. So this ensures that all the elements in the list satisfy this predicate, and in this case, yeah, we have all even numbers here, so this should be true. Okay, any test with any element of a list return true for a predicate function. So just a single element that satisfies this predicate should make the whole expression true. So okay, that's right. Repeat returns a list with n copies of a value. So repeat for 1. So is it repeating 1 4 times or 4 1 time? I guess it's repeating 1 4 times, right? Yep. Okay, sum returns the sum of a list of numbers, so just sums these items or numbers, so this will be 6. Okay, product returns the product of a list of numbers, so it multiplies the whole list. So this is 3 times 2, again 6. Okay, sorts a list of comparables, so this will be A, then B, then C. Okay, sort by sorts using a function that returns a comparable. Okay, so this function now here is kind of the sorting function. So okay, let's think about this now. Let's say that we got 10 modulus 3 should be 7, 6 modulus 3 should be 0. Wait, 10 modulus 3 should be 1, not 7. And 6 modulus 3 should be 0. And 8 modulus 3 should be 2, I guess. So this will make 6 the first one because it perfectly defined is divisible by 3, while 10 will leave us with 1 and 8 will leave us with 2. Okay, I got that right. Now this double colons is the cons operator, so it's basically prepending an item to a list. So this should be 1, 2, 3. Okay. Append just puts the two lists together, so this should be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, concat appends the elements in a list of lists. Oh, I see. So this should be, I guess, the same thing here. Yeah, but concat takes a list of lists and then concats the inner lists together. Okay, intersperse puts a value between all elements of a list. So okay, let's delete this and take this list here, and then we're basically sticking ones in between the values. I'm wondering if, yeah, this is how it goes. It doesn't add 1 to the beginning and end of the list. Okay, map applies a function to every element of a list. So yeah, this is pretty straightforward. We are just multiplying each element of the list by 2. So this will be 2, 4, and then 6. Okay. Map 2 applies a function to elements from 2 lists. Oh, I see. So this should take, so for the x's here, it will be 1, 2, and 3, and for the y's it will be 4, 5, 6 as pairs. So this will leave us with 1 times 4 for the first resulting member of this list. So this is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. 6 times 3 is 18. Yep. Okay. Indexed map applies a function to the index of an element and that element. Applies a function to the index of an element and that element. So I think this is similar to enumerate in Python. So for each element here, this one will be passed as the y here, but since this is the first element, it will get the index 0. So this will be, the x will be 0 and the y will be 1. And for the next item, y will be 2 and 1 will be the value for x, because this is the index 1. And what we are basically doing here is subtracting the element in the list from its index. So 1 minus 0, if it starts by 0, will be 1, And 2 minus 1 will be 1, and 3 minus 2 will be 1 also. Is that right? Yeah, we got that right. Okay. Now, fold L reduces a list from the left. Okay. So, this operator here concats strings, and this function fold is basically reduce. So, we are trying to reduce this array using this function, and the initial value is a. So let's try to construct this list. So we'll start with a, and will it return a list or just a single value? Yeah, I don't think it will return a list, it will just return a string now. So we'll start with a, and a concatenated with b should be a b, and now this whole thing concatenated with c should be like this, and then with d it should be like this. No, did I get it the other way around? So let's think about this for a second. So you can see the signature here that it takes a function from a to b, and it will return a b, and then a b value, which is the a string here, and then a list, and it will return a single string. But the question is, I'm thinking about now, is the order of how these operations happens. So I'm trying to see if we do this like is a passed in place of the x's or y's here. Let's say that x's will be, the beginning will be the b, so it's b, and then a will be passed as the y in the lambda function. Now this whole thing will be the y, I mean the x. It's a bit confusing. Alright, so let's take the second element now, c, and then the third element, d. Try that. Okay. So it reduces the list from the left. So we take the b and concatenate it with the a. So this leaves us with ba. And then we take the c and concatenate it to what we already had, which is ba. So that will leave us with cba, and so on. That's fold L. Fold R reduces a list from the right. So this is the other way around. So this will be D, A, then C, and then B. Yes. Alright. Scan L reduces a list from the left, building a list of intermediate results. Okay, so this will return a list of these reductions. So the first reduction was BA, then we had BA C, then BA C D. No. Did I get the order wrong? DCB, then DC, and then CBA, BA, and then A. No? Okay, so let's try that again. Start with A, then BA, and then BA, because the end result should be similar to this one. So then DCBA. There we go. That was a bit longer than usual. Okay, moving on to the next one.